Hi, I'm Abdul Saad, clinical psychologist at Vital Mind Psychology here in Sydney, Australia. Apologies for not uploading a video last week. It was very busy. I'm pleased to announce or report that there's been a very positive uptake to my offer of online coaching sessions. And it's been very pleasing now that I've been able to open up more time slots within my schedule to offer my services, my coaching services to people. And we've had an update from people from the United States, United Kingdom, New Zealand, and in the other states and territories within Australia. So it's been very pleasing. And if you want more information about what I can offer you online, which is not really, it's not therapy, it's a form of coaching, check out my Facebook page, Vital Mind Psychology. And if I can be of assistance, get in touch with me through the contact details there, or email me at info@vitalmind.com.au. So in today's video, I want to get the ball rolling in terms of giving a three-part plan for how to get the empath back into recovery after they've reached a point of burnout, or if they're stuck in a point of stress overwhelm, a state of alarm, a state of panic. And essentially where I begin in assisting empaths is I always begin with the nervous system. Because fundamentally empaths are born with a very sensitive nervous system. They're highly attuned to the energy around them, and they are very easily energetically depleted by people that we might call energy vampires, by people who are narcissistic, predatory, but people who are addicted to complaining and depleting the empath of their energy. And this is one of the reasons why empaths tend to have more problems in terms of neurological disorders and pain-related disorders like fibromyalgia, because of their neurological wiring with a very sensitive nervous system. Now, one of the key principles to understand of why it's important to begin by calming or regulating the nervous system on the healing journey of an empath is because if the nervous system is deranged or not functioning adequately, which is at that more biological, physiological level, interventions at a psychological, cognitive, or spiritual level are going to be less, I'm not going to say less helpful, but probably less efficacious. They're not going to hit the bullseye as much, or they're not going to be as beneficial, because fundamentally we haven't dealt with what's happening in the nervous system. And essentially dysregulation or derangement of the nervous system can be thought of according to a dysregulation of the stress response. So when I'm assisting empaths, or in fact any client, I'm always listening for where are they in their stress response pattern. And I'm also wanting to incorporate that with biological or laboratory data that can confirm where they're at. And essentially when we're stressed, there are 3 stages of stress that we go through. Very briefly, because I don't want this video to go on for too long, the first stage of stress is called, to get my marker to work, is called the alarm stage, or the alarm phase. So this is where the nervous system goes into fight-flight mode. This is when a stressor is triggered, psychological or physical, so it could be we're in a high amount of pain, we've just had an accident, we're going to get attacked by a dog, or we've just got a letter that we're in some financial crisis. The body will go into alarm and will produce a massive amount of adrenaline to mobilize energy, to mobilize blood to our major organs and our muscles to deal with the issue. Now, if that stressor is ongoing, so it doesn't shut off, so it's not like a dog was chasing me and I ran away and then I was safe. It's like I'm in an abusive relationship, I've got financial problems, something chronic that's not switching off, then the nervous system goes into the second stage of stress, which is called the resistance stage. And in the resistance stage, the person gets locked into a negative cycle of coping with stress, where the body goes into a highly inflammatory state as it starts to produce more cortisol, which is actually an anti-inflammatory hormone produced by the adrenals. but that has various negative effects upon the body if it's being produced long term. And one of them is protein catabolism. We start to break down muscle. We start to have a reduction in our capacity to produce serotonin from the protein that we eat. We start to have digestive difficulties, etc., etc. And if the stressor remains chronic and still isn't switched off, then the nervous system has no choice, and it goes out into what's called the third stage. I hope you can see that on the screen still, which is the exhaustion stage of stress, or in what we call burnout. So when I'm seeing empaths clinically, I'm trying to assess what stage of stress are you in, because each stage requires a different set of interventions. And the way that I do that is not only through a clinical interview, but also through a test that I use called the hair tissue mineral analysis, or the HTMA. And the HTMA is quite a unique laboratory test that from a sample of head hair, which is analyzed in a lab through a sophisticated scientific procedure, we get an analysis of your mineral levels. And through an interpretation of the results, we can actually begin to tell which stage of stress you are in. Are you in the alarm stage, the resistance stage, or have you burnt out? Now, if someone's in the alarm stage and or the resistance stage, then they need a lot more of the calming, sedative support to get their nervous system out of this chronic fight-flight mode. And in this stage, calming minerals like magnesium and zinc, sedative minerals, become very important. In the exhaustion phase, when the body has basically lost its ability to adapt and the person is feeling amotivated, listless, cynical, then we need a combination of both sedative support, because often the person, he cannot sleep even though they're exhausted, with what's called stimulatory support in the day. So minerals and nutrients that can stimulate their body and their nervous system, basically wake them up, give them energy, and things that can calm them at night to get them back into a more regulated state of functioning, or their sleep-wake cycle. Now, not everyone is going to be able to do a hair tissue mineral analysis, but if you can and find a practitioner that understands hair tissue mineral analysis. So I was trained by Dr. Rick Malta in Arizona, the Malta Institute. If you're in the United States and are interested, definitely Dr. Malta can be able to assist you by arranging a hair tissue mineral analysis for you and helping you with the interpretation of the results. And basically the HTMA allows us to very scientifically take the guesswork out of what stage of stress you're in. Now, in order to calm the nervous system, if we haven't got access to the HTMA, and we haven't got access to what stage of stress we're in, there are still things that we can do at a lifestyle level to begin to get the empath, to begin to get you into recovery. Because again, the idea is, if your nervous system is chronically stuck, I'll use these as props. I've got my red marker here. If your nervous system is chronically stuck, if I can get it out, if your nervous system is chronically stuck in fight-flight mode, then it cannot go into rest and digest mode. So there's sort of two gears of the nervous system. And if it's stuck in fight-flight mode, then all the talking therapy in the world is not going to be as effective than if you first of all intervene at the level of the nervous system, see what stage of stress you're in, and then give the body, the nervous system, the nutrient minerals it needs to regulate itself. Now, there are things we can do even if we don't have access to something like the hair tissue mineral analysis, and that's really what I want to share with you in the video. One of the key things is to recognize that this is the first step. So to take a cognitive, become conscious of the fact that you need to calm your nervous system. And one of the ways that you can begin to do that is to become aware of people that are energy vampires in your life, people that are vampirizing you of energy, and that you do feel drained around them. And one of the ways that you can tell is that these tend to be relationships where there's one-way intimacy, where the person is taking, but if you need something, this would be the last person in your life that you would go to them. And that's usually a sign that you need better boundaries around these energy vampire type personalities who can get you into alarm, resistance, and exhaustion stage of stress. Now, by the way, important point, some empaths do not progress to the exhaustion stage of stress. They remain chronically stuck in alarm or panic stage or the resistance stage. And these are the empaths that are most prone to having these neurological conditions, or I would say these disorders like fibromyalgia, which they're often told, we don't know what's causing them. It's often a chronic inflammatory condition where this body is stuck in that fight, flight, and resistance stage of stress. So understanding who are the energy vampires in your life. And I'm going to repeat myself here from my previous video about the 5 lifestyle changes empaths need to make. It's also going to be about nourishing your body properly, reducing caffeine intake so we're not pumping out so much adrenaline and depleting magnesium. It's going to be about ensuring that we're having protein-rich foods at every meal to nourish the body and to put less pressure on the adrenal glands. That will calm your nervous system. Making sure that we are hydrated with pure water. So not bottled water, but pure water, and especially if you get mineral water, that would be ideal. Ensuring that we're giving ourselves enough time for sleep. And I'm more than happy to recommend for people to look into supplementing with magnesium for sleep. Again, if you have a medical condition, if you're not sure about magnesium, check with your physician, with your medical practitioner, with your GP. But in general, magnesium is a very safe supplement. Forms of magnesium I recommend that are highly absorbed are magnesium malate, magnesium glycinate, and in liquid form, magnesium chloride can often have a wonderfully calming effect upon the nervous system. Less well-absorbed forms are magnesium oxide. I mentioned magnesium citrate in my initial video on magnesium. Magnesium citrate is a lot better than oxide, but it does tend to have stool softening properties, so there can be an issue with absorption if it does give you loose stools. So we've mentioned magnesium, we've mentioned diet, we've mentioned energy vampires. Another way to calm the nervous system is to do grounding techniques. And grounding simply is by connecting yourself to the earth. If you can get into a practice of walking barefoot on soil, on sand, on grass, being out in nature, connecting with a natural environment. Even if you live in a big busy city, like me here in Sydney, it's a concrete jungle out there. There's still parks, there's still reserves, there's still places I can go to recharge myself and recharge my batteries. Yoga. Now exercise is good here, but again, we have to tailor it according to the stage of stress you're in. If you are in the alarm stage of stress or the resistance stage, then over-exercising can be a problem. If you're in, because you're already full of adrenaline and cortisol, so you need more moderate intensity exercise. And if you're in the exhaustion stage, you're not really going to feel like exercising. So moderate intensity, walking, yoga. If you're going to do cardio, very light cardio, depending on the stage of stress you're in, can also be highly beneficial. Other things in terms of calming the nervous system is to become more attuned to shifts in your energy throughout the day. Certain environments you might not react well to, certain chemicals, certain scents, especially if you're a very sensitive nervous system, you could be very chemically sensitive. So this is where sometimes we also get people to look at, well, what personal care products are you using? And is that also placing a greater burden on the body? So step 1 in helping empaths is calm the nervous system. And the way that I do that very systematically is by assessing the stage of stress they're in, combining that with the laboratory data about the mineral levels, which also informs the stage of stress, and then preparing a program combined of lifestyle changes, micronutrient supplementation, which can begin to get the nervous system to function on a more, as we could say, even keel. And that becomes the foundation for accessing greater awareness and accessing more out of talking therapy, counseling, insight-orientated approaches. So hopefully that's been of assistance to you. I will, God willing, be catching you next week with my next installment. And in part 2, we're going to be talking about the second step, which is reducing your need to please. And in the week after that, God willing, it will be shrinking the judge or shrinking the internal critic. Again, if I can assist you in any way on a one-to-one basis, I am open to doing the coaching sessions online. Get in touch for more information about that. And I will catch you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.